Say, Amos, what is the greatest name in communications?
The Columbia Broadcasting System, Andy.
Well, how do you like that? That's the network we is on.
The Amos and Andy Show, written by Joe Connolly and Bob Mosier, transcribed, and featuring Johnny Lee, Ernestine Wade, Amanda Randolph, Sarah Berner, Tommy Moore, Vince Townsend Jr., Lud Bluskin's music, yours truly, Harlow Wilcox, and starring radio's all-time favorites, Freeman Gosden and Charles Correll, Amos and Andy. Well, our old friend Andy Brown is engaged once again. How did it happen? Well, it started about 2 weeks ago. Andy had a date with an old girlfriend who lived uptown. He was 20 minutes late for dinner, so he hurried out to the curb and flagged down a taxi.
Hey, taxi! Taxi! Hey, taxi!
Where to, mister?
I was in a hurry. I got a date for a chicken dinner with my gal, and I got to be at 250. Hello?
Where did you wish to go?
222 West 165th Street, and take the road through the park, honey.
Why, that's the long way.
I know.
Would you kindly sit back in the cab? It's against regulations to talk to the driver.
Yeah. You know something? You was real pretty. You was the only taxi driver I ever seen that didn't need a shave.
Sit back in the cab, please.
Well, by the time they got to 135th Street, Andy was still trying to break the ice.
Would you kindly sit back in the cab, please? You're fogging up my windshield.
Yeah. You was sweet. The way you crowded that bus into the curb back there. The expression on your face reminded me of my mother.
Sit back in the cab, please.
Well, I finally sat back in the cab here.
Yes, but I don't think I can sit back here with you much longer. The inspector might come along.
Yeah, well, now that we is holding hands like this, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Andrew Hogg Brown, Esquire. But my friends call me Andy.
How do you do, Andy? My name is Susan. Susan Bennett.
Susan Bennett. Say, that's a pretty name. And you was pretty, too. You looks like the kind of a gal that you takes home to your mama, but you keeps away from your papa.
Oh, Andy.
Let's just sit here for a while longer, Susan, honey.
But, Andy, you were in such a hurry. What about your date?
What date was that?
You said you were having a chicken dinner with your girlfriend uptown.
Oh, listen, honey, I'll pass up a chicken in the oven any time for a pigeon in the back seat.
Well, that afternoon taxi ride with Susan was the start of a beautiful romance. It's now 2 weeks later, and Andy is up in his room making the official announcement to the Kingfish.
Yeah, Kingfish, me and Susan is official engaged. I done popped the question to her last night in the cab.
Yeah, right in the taxi, huh?
Oh, yeah. It was a real quick proposal, too. The meter was running.
Well, Andy, as your best friend, allow me to extend my deepest sympathy to you, boy.
Yeah, what are you talking about, Kingfish? Marriage ain't that bad.
Well, Andy, the only difference between marriage and them fellows that made the charge of the Light Brigade into the Valley of Death is that them boys had a horse to make the trip easier. What are you doing with all this junk here in your room, man?
Oh, this, yeah. I was throwing out all these pimentos I done got from gals in the past. Now that me and Susan is getting married, I wouldn't want her to see none of this stuff, you know.
Yeah, no sense in letting her think that you done spent your life ruberosing it around the mulberry bush, yeah?
Look at all this stuff here. Dance cards, a college pennant, a pressed rose, and this glove. Look at that glove. Carlita Jackson done give me this.
Yeah, wait a minute, Joe. I know what kind of glove is this anyway. Only got 3 fingers in it.
Yeah, well, that's a second baseman's mitt. Carlita was a star with the girls' softball team.
Whatever happened to Carlita?
Well, I tried to get to first base with her one night, and she throwed me out in the infield. And here's something else, Kingfish. Look at there. A perfumed handkerchief.
Yeah, that smelled like real French perfume. Smouche la femme or something like that.
Yeah, well, that belonged to Yvette Parker. She always wore that French perfume.
Yeah.
She worked in the salami factory. Boy, was I crazy about her. She always smelled like a cross between Paris in the spring and the back room of a delicatessen.
Yeah, well, it looked like you're really sincere about this Susan Bennett. I hope you're going to be very happy, Andy.
Well, thank you, Kingfish. I appreciate that.
Yes, Andy, I tell you, after being married to Sapphire for 22 years, I found that the only thing that makes marriage worthwhile for a man is love, understanding, and affection.
It is, huh?
Yeah, I sure wish I could get a little of it around my place. I'm going to tell you. Well, I'm sure happy to see my dear friend Andy getting married to a nice girl. After all, him and me has been, I wonder who that is. Come in.
I'm looking for George Kingfish Stevens.
George Stevens? George Stevens. Never heard the name.
They said I'd find him here.
He ain't no trouble, is he?
No.
Well, I'm George Stevens. Name comes back to me now, you see.
Mr. Stevens, I'll get right down to the facts.
Yeah.
I happen to be the father of Susan Bennett. I understand your friend Andy Brown intends to marry her.
Yeah, so that's right.
Frankly, I don't think Brown is the man for my daughter, but the more I try to influence her, the more determined she is.
Yeah.
Now I'm willing to pay you $100 to break up this marriage.
Wait a minute, Sheriff. You asking me to betray my best friend for $100? You asked me to come between him and the gal he loves? You asked me to do a thing so low and underhanded? Is that 100 in cash?
Yes, payable as soon as you break up the marriage.
It's a deal. You know, mister, you was really lucky that you come to me. I don't know another one of Andy's dear friends that would have double-crossed him any cheaper, I tell you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Charles Carell. You know, the most conscientious parent can't help breathing a sigh of relief during school hours to know that the kids are off the streets, out of harm's way, and learning something. Trouble is, there are too many children for the schools. Between overcrowding and understaffing, our children are getting short rations in their educations. The price of good schools is vigilant, active participation in civic affairs. Join your local groups fighting for better schools. Otherwise, things will be much worse before they ever get better.
This roast leg of lamb is particularly delicious tonight, ain't it, Mama?
Just perfect, daughter. Just perfect.
Best looking leg I ever seen in the family.
What was that, George?
Oh, nothing, honey, nothing. My bridge is loose and I'm getting a nasty echo off my hard palate here.
Well, George, you ain't hardly touched your food. Is something wrong?
No, just something on my mind. A business deal come up today and I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh. Well, you know, I hear around that Andy Brown done got himself engaged.
Yeah, that's right.
What did he get engaged to? A pool table?
Very funny, Mama, very funny. I ain't heard a laugh like that since at the zoo when the hyena sit down on a lighted cigar butt.
No, Mama. Andy's engaged to some girl named, Susan Bennett.
Bennett, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Bennett. Seemed like I heard that name someplace before. Huh. I guess it couldn't be the same one, though.
She's such a lovely looking girl. I can't imagine why she'd be attracted to an old man like Andy Brown.
Yeah, well, age is a big advantage. It's like in the fish market. The stalest mackerel always draws the most flies. Yeah, she's a nice gal. Got her own job, too. Drives a taxi cab.
Going for a working girl. Huh. I always thought a lazy loafer like Andy Brown would hold out for some rich woman so he could sponge off of her for the rest of his life.
Yeah, well, I guess he would have, but heiress don't pop up from just nowhere and ask a fella to marry her. Say, wait a minute, Joe. How you like that? I just done give myself an idea here. Honey, what was the name of that gal that lived in the downstairs apartment here? You know, the one that used to work for the circus?
You mean Lulu Fontaine?
Yeah, you know, I think I got a little job for her.
But, George, she was a bareback rider.
Well, one animal is like another. And if she can handle a horse, she ought not to have no trouble with this stupid ox I got in mind. I tell you that right now. Well, if this little idea with Lulu works, I shouldn't have no trouble breaking up Andy's engagement, making myself $100 richer. Oh, come in, Brother Andy. I'm just sitting around the office here, not thinking of a thing.
Yeah, hiya, Kingfish. Well, I just been riding up and down Riverside Drive talking to my fiancée. You know, I've been thinking it ain't gonna be right for people to see the wife of Andrew H. Brown driving a taxi.
Well, I agrees with you there, boy.
Oh, yeah. After we married, I'm gonna see if I can't get her transferred inside to the grease pit.
Well, I know how you feel. Ain't no sense of having her disgrace you.
No.
Andy, I knows that you was noticing how tired I looks this morning, and I knows you was just dying to know where I was last night.
I is, huh?
Oh, trying to drag it out of me, huh? Well, I guess I'll have to break down and tell you, seeing you were so curious. I was out late last night, Andy, at a big society party.
Society party? Who throwed the thing, Kingfish?
Oh, some society gal that me and Sapphire met up with. Her name is Lulu Fontaine. One of them Texas oil heiresses.
Oh, she got a lot of oil wells, huh?
Yeah, got a lot of lumber, too, Andy. Just last year, they discovered trees on her property.
Yeah. She give a big party, huh?
Oh, yeah, them rich Texans goes right in for it, you know. Yeah, right in the middle of the living room was a replica of an oil well. Only the thing was gushing martinis.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, they wasn't stingy about it, neither. As you entered the door, the butler handed you a bucket and a fistful of olives. Yeah, from there in, you was on your own.
Yeah, and the food must have been something, too.
Oh, yeah, they had 38 turkeys.
38.
Yeah, I ain't never seen such stuffing. Yeah, instead of breadcrumbs, the turkeys were stuffed with half filet mignon and half caviar. Yeah, no matter what end of the bird you started on, you was gnawing on something expensive. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, man, this Lulu Fontaine must be loaded with money.
Loaded. She always wears 2 fur coats.
2?
Yeah, she throws the mink over the chinchilla to keep it from getting dirty. Oh, I tell you, Andy, for a single unmarried woman looking for a husband, she's really a prize. Of course, you wouldn't be interested in her, though. Now that you was engaged, would you?
Of course not. Me interested in another woman just 'cause she got money? Ha, ha, ha. Where does she live?
Now, take it easy there, Andy. You was engaged. Calm down, there, boy. You going on point here like a bird dog. After all, Andy, you can't, say, look out of the window there, Andy. Look at that. Yeah. Now, ain't this a coincidence? Coming across the street there, it's the rich Lulu Fontaine. Yeah, I was just talking about her. She must gonna be paying me a social call.
Wait a minute. That's the rich gal, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But Kingfish, look at her walk. I ain't never seen such a bow-legged gal in my whole life. She's got an egg beater gait on her if ever I seen one.
Oh, that ain't nothing, Andy. In Texas, that's hereditary. They gets them bow legs from playing leapfrog over barrels of money.
Oh.
Hey, wait a minute. Excuse me. I'll tell her to come in here. I'd like to have you meet her, Andy. Oh, Miss Fontaine. Lulu, come on in here. I'd like to have you meet a friend of mine, Andy. I'd like to have you meet the rich and cultured Texan, Miss Lulu Fontaine.
How you do?
My, what a charming, good-looking hombre. I could go for you, handsome. Oh, but I suppose some woman has already got a brand on you.
No, but one night a gal went for me with a flat iron.
Say, Miss Fontaine, how's you doing with all your oil wells? Anything new in that department?
I'll say there is. We brought in another gusher back home just before I left.
Yeah, you must have been standing pretty close to the thing when it let loose, too. I noticed you got some of the grease spots all over your dress there.
Listen, Buster, if I changed my dress every time a well came in, I wouldn't have time for nothing else.
Lulu, let me make you comfortable here. I'll help you off with your genuine ranch mink coat.
Oh, don't bother.
Say, Kingfish, could I see you over here for a minute?
Certainly, Andy. Excuse me, Miss Fontaine. What is it, Andy?
Kingfish, did you say that coat was ranch mink?
Andy, that's not only ranch mink, it's dude ranch mink.
Well, look at that thing. One of them ranch minks done wore out his elbow leaning on the old top rail.
That's the latest thing, Andy. It's called ventilated mink. Come on, let's go back here.
Okay.
Well, Kingfish, I gotta be going. I gotta drop by the bank and draw out a few $1,000s. I'm going out to dinner tonight, and I likes to tip heavy. Well, it's a pleasure meeting y'all, Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, honey, you're the type of a man I could cotton to.
Cotton, too? Shake hands with old Bo Weevil.
Well, honey, if you'd like to get in touch with me, my phone number is Butterfield 4700. Well, goodbye, you handsome old thing, you. I just can't resist pinching you on your little old jowl there. Kitchy, kitchy, coo.
Yeah, and a kitchy, kitchy coo to you, too, Lulu. Butterfield 4700. Wow.
Well, Andy, I can see from the way your eyes is popping out that you was thinking along the right lines. Gal got real class, ain't she? You see the way she strutted out of here?
Oh, yeah. You know, I like everything about her. I wouldn't mind leaping over them barrels of money with her. Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute, Kingfish. I is engaged to Susan. What is I going to tell her? Now, how's I going to break the engagement with her?
Well, only one thing to do, Andy. Just tell her that you're doing it, say for her own good. Let me see here. Oh, I know. Tell her anything simple. Tell her that you is a gangster and a criminal, and it ain't fair for you to marry even though you loves her.
Yeah. Tell you what, Kingfish, I got a date with her at 8 tonight. And along about 8:30, I'm going to break the engagement and tell her that I ain't never going to see her no more.
Yeah, well, that's fine, Andy, but if you're going up there at 8 o'clock, why is you waiting till 8:30 to tell her?
Well, I thought I might get in a little smooching first.
Oh, yeah.
Well, George, I must say you're eating a lot better this evening.
Yeah, well, happy as a log, honey. Yeah, happy as a log. I put over big deal today, big deal. Say, good cup of coffee here. What you doing, using fresh grounds this week?
Oh, by the way, Sapphire, it's been bothering me all day, and I just remembered who that Susan Bennett was.
Oh, did you, Mama?
Yeah, a society girl. Her father is Thomas J. Bennett, the millionaire, and she's got $100,000 in her own name.
George, you spilt that coffee all over yourself.
What's a couple of third-degree burns at a time like this? Mama, what do you mean, society girl? What was she doing driving a taxi cab?
Well, the way I heard it, she's one of them modern girls. She decided that all the men in her set was trying to marry her for her money. So she left home and got this job driving a cab to try to find real, true love.
Holy mackerel, holy mackerel.
George, why is you carrying on like this? What's wrong with you?
Well, I done made a terrible mistake. I done stabbed myself in the back. Why didn't I know she was an heiress? I tell you, there ought to be a law that when a fella tells the gal he loves her, right then and there, she ought to declare her assets. That's what she ought to
do. Well, it looks like the Kingfish's plan has backfired, but we'll see. You know, the thought occurred to us the other day that quite a few of you might be visiting Southern California this fall and winter and would like to see Amos and Andy in person, as well as Sapphire, Mama, and Calhoun. If you'll write to Ticket Department, CBS, Hollywood 28, California, you will be sent a courtesy card, which will entitle you to special consideration when presented at the Ticket Department at Columbia Square, Hollywood. Now, let's get back to tonight's Amos and Andy story.
Hello. Oh, me, Andy don't answer the telephone. 8:15. He must be up with Susan right now, breaking off the engagement. Her papa worth almost $1 million, too. No wonder he didn't want her to marry a deadbeat like Andy. I don't know what in the world Well, hiya, Calhoun. Come on in. What are you doing over here?
Well, Kingfish, me and my cousin Murgatroyd was down the street looking at new cars.
Oh, Murgatroyd, the bebop hipster, huh?
Yeah. We went in the showroom, and the salesman showed him one that was $100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the windows went up by themselves, and the windshield wiper went on automatically. The top went up when it started to rain, and even the headlight dimmed itself when you meet another car.
Well, did Murgatroyd like the thing?
Well, that's what I asked Murgatroyd. I say to him, Murgatroyd, is you going to buy this thing? And he said, not me, Jack. I don't want no car that got more sense than I is.
Yeah, well, I wish I had a car that could give me some advice. I was in a mess.
What's the trouble, Kingfish?
Well, the first thing, Andy got herself engaged to a gal, and the gal's father done offered me $100 to break up the marriage, so I did.
That's natural.
Yeah, but I just discovered that the gal is an heiress, and if Andy marries her, think of the position I'd be in to move in on his money.
Yeah. You ought to be able to drain that boy like a crankcase.
But it's too late, Calhoun. Andy's up at the gal's apartment right now, telling the gal he is a criminal, breaking off the engagement. Tell me what I can do. You got any idea?
Well, now, wait a minute, Chair. I tell you, maybe you could bust in there and tell her that Andy was breaking off the engagement for some noble reason. Yeah, tell her Andy done found out she got money and he's too fine and noble to marry a gal with money.
Yeah, say, that's a great idea. I'll rush right up there now. Yeah, I got to get going.
Yeah, I got to get going, too. I got to get my glasses fixed.
Oh, having trouble with your glasses, huh?
I'll say I is. You see, the other day I seen a barber pole, and I went into place and asked for a shave and a haircut, and the manager of the bakery throwed me out.
Well, if it was a bakery, why was there a barber pole out front?
Oh, that turned out to be a skinny girl in a striped sweater.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the story, Susan. I is really a hardened criminal.
Andy, you a criminal? I just can't believe it. You've always been so sweet.
Well, underneath it, I is a real mean character. Just this year, the police chiefs of the country voted me the man they most like to use a rubber hose on.
Oh, Andy. Well, I'll marry you anyway.
No, Susan. It'll never work out. I come to say farewell and goodbye.
Well, Andy, if that's it, I'll see who it is.
Yeah.
Why, it's your friend, Mr. Stevens.
Oh, excuse me, Susan. Andy, boy, I can't let you do it.
Do what, Kingfish?
Break off the marriage just because you know here that Susan ain't really a taxi driver, but is actually a society girl who has $100,000 in her own name, cash on the barrelhead.
I knows that.
Certainly you does, stupid. Miss Bennett here, Andy has done made up a story about being a criminal for a very noble reason.
And what reason was that?
Yeah, what reason was that, Kingfish?
Because, Andy, you is too noble to marry a woman who has got money. But I can't let you do it, Andy. I knows you love Susan, and she is the gal for you.
Yeah, I see what you mean, Kingfish, but what about Butterfield 4700?
Wrong number.
Oh.
Oh, Andy, Mr. Stevens is right. You're wonderful for feeling that way, but we can't let my money stand in the way of our marriage.
Well, okay, honey, I'll marry you. It's just that I has always felt that marriage can't be a success where the wife has got a lot of money. Ain't that what I felt, Kingfish?
Yeah, you said it 1,000 times, old boy.
Oh, Andy, we'll be married. This is all so wonderful. Let's not wait any longer.
Yeah, get married right away. You know, I only hope, Susan, that you can be worthy of a man like Andy with his fine ideals.
Yeah. And you know, honey, even though I hate your money, I'll be as kind to it as if it was my own. Yeah, Amos, the wedding is going ahead tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Andy, this is the most on-again, off-again thing I'd have never heard of, ain't it, Kingfish? Well, Amos, I'll tell you, you know how Andy is. He decided to call it off. He is the fickle type. Then he heard about the money, and I tell you, Amos, there's something about $100,000 that will unfickle a man in a hurry.
Yeah, well, I put on a wonderful act, Amos. Me saying I was so noble I couldn't marry a woman with money.
Well, I kind of feel sorry for Susan. She sounds like a pretty wonderful gal. A gal that takes a job driving a taxi cab just so she could find real love. I don't think you're doing right by this gal, Andy. You don't love her.
Listen, Amos, with $100,000 involved, it don't pay to be fussy.
Yeah, you keep out of this, Amos. Our gravy boat is coming in, and we are slopping around in the giblets. You let us alone.
Oh, Andy, it was nice of you to ride with me tonight. My last night driving the cab.
Yes, Susan, honey. If it wasn't for this taxi, I would have never met you. Oh, this is a wonderful taxi cab company.
Just think, Andy, we'll be married tomorrow, and I know we're going to be happy.
Oh, yeah, I know we're going to be happy, too. Ha, 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 ha.
I know we're going to be doubly happy because we're both starting from scratch.
What you mean from scratch?
Well, Andy, honey, after what you told me, I couldn't bear to see you unhappy about my money. So today I gave every nickel away.
Stop the taxi. Let me out. I'm going to sue the cab company. Stop. Help. Get me out of here.
This is Harlow Wilcox again. I'd like to take a moment to suggest that you tune in this CBS radio station each evening, Monday through Friday, for the additional series of Amos and Andy programs called the Amos and Andy Music Hall. The radio section of your local newspaper will give you the time of these shows. These new shows are Amos and Andy at their best, plus interviews with famous guests and lots of good popular music. So remember to tune in and enjoy the fun and music and laugh with Amos and Andy.
That's right, folks. Every evening, Monday through Friday, on this CBS radio station. Thank you and good night.
See you tomorrow night on the Music Hall.
Be sure to be with us at the same time next Sunday for the Amos and Andy Show, transcribed and directed by Cliff Howell. Now, stay tuned for Our Miss Brooks, which follows immediately over most of these same stations.
Mr. and Mrs. North go sleuthing Monday through Friday nights on the CBS Radio Network.